Welcome to the Middle-aged Bodcast with me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shelano.
And T.A, we're back. We have another guest episode.
We do indeed. We are joined today by none other than Aimee P. Hello, Aimee.
Hello. How are you both?
Yeah, I think we're okay. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, before we get into the episode, avid listeners of the podcast will know that I have been challenging Rich here over my season 2 contract, which is that I would get a new chair that was more comfortable and more suitable for recording. And it has been a real challenge to make this happen. But I am delighted to announce to listeners that Raging Rich has bought a new chair for himself, which means I now get his old chair that he was using, and I no longer have to sit in a deck chair.
It's not a deck chair, it's a camping
Well, whatever
chair.
It is. It wasn't comfortable and it wasn't great recording in terms of bringing the best out of my back during these episodes.
I thought you were going to say your talent.
Well, my talent was just a given, as you well know. So I'm pleased to say today I am able to record in comfort, and we are still pushing him to do the satay, which he's promised to cook. So it's one down, one to go.
We'll give you an update on the satay because there might be some progress with that.
Okay, I look forward to it. So, Aimee, now over to you. If you want to sort of start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your fitness regime.
Oh, goodness. So, I am Aimee. I've just turned 40, the dreaded 40 middle-age bracket. So, fitness-wise, I have just got back into running after having a little boy. So he's 2.5 and I've only just got back into running. And then alongside that, I do a workout with Shelano, who is my motivator and who keeps me sane in this crazy world. And I do that a couple of times a week and then run a couple of times a week. Do you know what? I really, really enjoy it.
Excellent. Obviously, as you know, Aimee, I have also a mutual love of Shelano T, who's had an awful lot of mentions during podcast episodes, actually. So he'll be thrilled that it's not just me talking about him and that you talk about your sort of joy for him, I think, as well. There's one thing I'd like to point out, actually, to listeners who may recall from season 1, we referenced somebody whose 40th birthday it was and who was actually going out that day to do a park run. I can now reveal it was you we were talking about. Now, that's a different level of motivation to go out on your 40th birthday on a park run. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So I get up Saturday morning, set the alarm for 7 a.m. and go across to Wolverhampton for the park run normally. And I thought, you know what better way to start the new decade than getting up and doing a park run? Because if I don't, I'm going to be really, really disappointed in myself. So I set my alarm went off. My partner Kev said, well, you know, what are you going to do? Are you actually going to get up and go to park run? And I said, yeah, of course I am. So I got up and I started getting ready and I said, do you know what? You could come with me because it's my birthday and you could bring the little one and you could come and cheer me on. And he looked and he went, no, I don't think so. And then he looked outside, the weather was dreadful. He said, no, I don't think so. I think I'll just stay here. And I said, no, come on, you know, we'll have a good day. We'll go and stop and have breakfast and coffee and it'll be a nice morning. Anyway, I got ready. Next thing I know, he's come downstairs. He's got himself ready. He's got the little one ready and he's coming with me. So we all go out. I go off and do park run. He walks the little one round and it then absolutely starts to chuck it down with rain and he gets absolutely soaked. So he's now cold, wet, miserable because he's had to get up at 7:30 on a Saturday morning, which is his lying day. And he's not even run. And as a former runner, he's had to stand and watch everybody else run. And he's not even had the benefit of enjoying that himself. He's just had to stand there and get soaking wet. So he was a little bit miserable. But then I bought him a cup of tea and a cake and he was fine. And it was actually a really good morning. And then we went out for a meal on the evening, and that was my 40th birthday.
So did you think then that you could have the meal on the evening was kind of like a reward for that out in the sort of misery and actually doing that run that most people wouldn't have done on their birthday?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a dessert and everything afterwards.
I'm I'm sure Sean T wouldn't mind.
Well, Sean T has Donut Friday, doesn't he? So he allows himself a donut at least once a week. So, and this is what I really like about him, the fact that he's just realistic in the fact that, you know what, if you want something bad, you just have it. He's not one of these that's always eating green stuff and fruit and veg and never treats himself. So if he can have Donut Friday, I can definitely have a dessert on my 40th birthday.
I agree with that.
I just find it amazing. You've never told me in all the years I've known you and you've been doing Sean T that he has Donut Friday. Now, you could have sold it to me much better than you have over time, and it's taken Aimee bringing it up.
Well, yes, the only difference with that, Rich, is you'd eat the donuts, but I don't think you'd still have any interest in doing Sean T, which wouldn't really be his point, really.
That is a fair point.
His kind of point would be reward yourself with a donut if you're doing his routines, not would you like to eat something worse for you than you normally eat, Rich, and not do the routines.
That's a fair point. I'll take that. Aimee, you mentioned that you obviously enjoy the running and you do the Sean T program. Are there any fitness activities that you don't enjoy or you try to avoid?
Probably cycling. I don't like. So a lot of the guys that I run with, because I run in a running club, and a lot of the guys that I run with have kind of progressed from running to like triathlons and duathlons, and you know, they've gone out and spent a fortune on bikes, and that just doesn't really interest me. I mean, I love swimming. I'm not a member of the gym now, so I don't go. But the thought of getting out and going on a bike ride for fitness just doesn't really interest me. But they do them and they absolutely love them. They've really got into them. It's just not something I can really get into that much. Plus, I don't even know where I'd store the bike. Our garage is full already. I've got nowhere to put it. So that kind of, unless I get a Boris bike, the Boris bikes that you can pick up out of Birmingham city centre. I could get one of those maybe, but I don't think they're going to be too comfortable.
You talked around, obviously, the Sean T, which is normally something that people obviously generally do at home themselves, but then you've talked about being part of the running club and the park runs. How do you find the difference between sort of working out on your own versus being part of more of a community of people?
So I can work out on my own with Sean T because he's there, he's on the screen, and he talks to you as if you're in the room, and he really makes you feel involved as if you're in a class, so you don't feel like you're on your own. I couldn't run on my own, and I didn't really get into running properly until I joined the running club. And it's a free running club, so it's not one that I have to pay towards. And it's not a serious running club. It's just a lot of people that want to run and have a social side and just don't want to run on their own. And during lockdown, I did try to run on my own because obviously we couldn't run together, could we? So I did go out a couple of times and try, and I couldn't do it. It was boring. I just kept stopping, got no motivation. So that, I think, really was where Sean T came into his own, because that was where I started the insanity workout, which then led to me continuing his other workouts. But like I say, you just don't feel like you're on your own. You're obviously not in a gym class surrounded by other people, but you do feel like you're in a group when you watch him, because he does really involve you. But yeah, running's not an activity I could do on my own. That's been tried and tested, and I've fully failed at that. But I do really like the community side of it and the social side as well, especially on the cold winter nights. I mean, who wants to go out? I mean, this morning I failed. I didn't go to parkrun this morning. But I mean, who wants to go out with weather like this on their own to go and run a 5K? Nobody does, do they? But if you've got a group of friends, which is what they are now, then yeah, you'll go and just meet them and then go to the pub afterwards and then you've done your 5K.
I certainly can agree to a degree on the Sean T thing with you as well, about how you feel like you're in the room with him and the other people. And I know certainly during lockdown, we used to talk about it because we were unknowingly at the beginning both doing Sean T and then suddenly got mentioned. And then we almost become like kind of a half motivation of, have you done it today? Have you done, there is almost like that accountability. So I get your point then with being part of a club and a community is more inspiring then, that you want to do it because you're then seeing people, like you say, you see as friends, and it's more of a social thing.
What impact do your fitness pursuits have on your mental health?
Oh, it's huge, absolutely huge. And it's really noticeable when I don't do them. So pre-baby, I'd go out a lot and I'd run a lot and have the social side with the group. And then when it got to a point where I couldn't run when I was pregnant, and then afterwards, and I stopped running completely, it really, really knocked me, because I would watch everybody else within the group go off and do their races and their runs, and I couldn't do that. I mean, I could go and walk with them, which I did to a point, but when I couldn't run, I really struggled, and I almost pulled away from the group. Well, I did pull away from the group because I was watching them succeed and, you know, do really well and do all these races and have these amazing weekends, and I wasn't part of it, which was my own fault. I've only got myself to blame for that. I really, really struggled. Obviously, then with not doing the exercise comes weight gain, which gets you down even more. So I really, really found it hard. Since I've gone back and obviously got the social side again, and I'm back exercising, and it just makes you feel so much better. And also, if you've had a really rubbish day at work, or the little one who drives you up the wall, if you just need a break from the chaos that is family life, and you just want to go out, not think about it, not talk about it to anybody, and have normal conversation with adults, it's fantastic. And that is what I've needed, I think, for myself, just to get out and do something that was just for me. My other half does it. He goes and plays pool kind of 2-3 times a week. So he had that, but I'd almost refuse that to myself. And I don't think it was really helping me mentally or physically, because I was just gaining weight, which then made the mental side even worse. And so I just said one day to him, I said, look, I need to start going back out. I need to get out there. I need to get my life back, as in fitness life, as in leaving the house, not doing a workout in the house. I needed actually to leave the house environment. It's been brilliant. I feel much, much happier. I feel much more motivated just on a daily basis, because I know if I have a really bad day, I can just put a message out to the group and say, right, does anyone fancy a run? Someone will say, yeah, up for a run today. And then off out I go, and you just cut everything off and shut everything out and go and have a good 30 minutes of fresh air.
I mean, that sounds really positive. And I think it's interesting that how you're then trying to obviously find that time to balance out family life and a young child, when before you could just obviously perhaps do something more easily, of how you manage that, and what advice I suppose you'd give then other people about making that time.
It's hard. It's really, really hard. And I was one of these naive women who thought, oh, it's fine. I'll just go straight back into it. It won't be a problem. It is. It is a problem, and it is hard. And in terms of home workouts, one of the best things I had was a playpen. And I put the playpen up, and I put the little one in it, put him some toys, and he goes in the corner of the room. I put the TV on, do my workout, and then he watches me, and then he'll run on the spot and do his exercises. And then I've taught him how to do squats, so he started squatting, and now he can jump, so he does some jumps. But I can do that because he's in the playpen, he's safe, and I can do my workout. And then as for finding the time to run outside of that and outside of work, it's just a case of my other half just, I don't want to say letting me, but taking his fair share of looking after the little one, really. And he's happy to do that because obviously he has his hobbies. Without that, I couldn't do it, because then have to rely on grandparents to look after him, which I'm sure they would, but they already look after him when I'm at work. So without Kev kind of saying, yeah, okay, you go off and do what you've got to do, I don't think I would have the time. But I reference a really good motivational talk that T.A. introduced me to months and months ago by a well-known Hollywood actor, who said, do you know what? There is always time. If you don't think there's time, make time. And if ever I think to myself, I haven't got time for that, no word of a lie, I will replay that talk on YouTube, and it motivates me, because he's absolutely right. Do you know what? Sometimes you have the time, you just don't want to make it. So that was a brilliant speech. And I'm sure you've probably referenced it.
I think I have referenced it, actually. On a few different things as well, I think, with who you're talking about. I don't know, we can name. There's no issue with naming him, is there really? But yeah, the 24 hours in a day, organise your day, which I think was a viral sensation. But also, I think there's another thing with some of Arnold's vision as well, I've taken on board recently, is you have to sell what you're doing, which, as all the people I've been bugging to buy my book will know, I've suddenly turned into a really dodgy sales salesman. But there is some really good points around the making time, and it is easier not to do something that you think, oh, physical fitness. It is easier just to sit in front of the TV or whatever. But if you make the time, it does make a big difference. I mean, obviously we've mentioned quite a bit on episodes. I've been suffering with plant pot knee, as I think you're aware, which has not been great at times, where it's interfered a bit, and hopefully sort of recovering from that. Yeah, I think motivating yourself and making that time is crucial.
Can I just say thank you for not doing any of the Arnold quoting with your impression of him?
I'm fighting it because Aimee also mentioned Boris. And as you know, that's another one of mine. And I'm deliberately trying not to spoil these episodes with terrible impressions.
I really love the Boris impression, though.
And don't encourage him, please.
Don't spoil your episode, Aimee, with me doing an impression of Boris. I knew when you mentioned Boris bikes where you were trying to get me to go there.
I didn't even think of that till you just mentioned it.
One thing Boris and I have in common is I don't think our book sales are doing very well.
Well, hang on a minute now. You can't say that about your book. It's been doing really well. Right. It's done far better than expectations you set yourself.
Yeah, it has. I'm joking. I mean, I just know his book has come out, and obviously I don't think it's done too well. It's just a bit of... I am genuinely very pleased.
I'm not having that.
It was that or an impression of him, and I know which you'd prefer.
Aimee, how would you compare your fitness goals now in your 40s to when you were younger?
Well, they've changed. I mean, when I started, the whole way I started running was I'd always gone to the gym, not really known what I was doing. Just been running on a treadmill thinking I was doing really well, but not really getting anywhere. But I started running because I sat and watched the marathon at the 2012 Olympics with my dad. And I watched it and I was just so amazed by these people that are just so dedicated and motivated to something that they were going and running this marathon. And the times that they did, they're just so incredible. And I thought to myself at the time, do you know what? I don't really have a goal. I didn't really have a particular hobby other than kind of going to the gym. And I'd given up a lot of sports that I used to play when I was younger. So I wasn't really doing anything. And I kind of sat there and said to my dad, do you know what? I'm going to run a marathon. And he looked at me and laughed and went, yeah, okay, of course you are, yeah. This really patronising tone, when they pat you on the head as if to say, oh, yeah, lovely, of course you are. And I went, no, I am. I'm going to go and run a marathon. And he said, okay, yeah, brilliant, you go and do that then. And then I found the running club. So my whole goal from then was to run a marathon, which I did in 2017. And then after that, my goal was to just run another marathon and get a better time. And then I have an ongoing goal to get a specific time on a half marathon, which was under 2 hours. And I came really close at 2:01 and haven't managed to do that any better since. But obviously life's changed now, and it's not so much an age thing. It's more just a lifestyle thing, as in now I've got a child, which I didn't have before. I don't have the time that I did before to dedicate to the goals I previously had. My goal, I suppose, now is not so much to run a marathon, but just to run and do fitness to a point where I can keep myself healthy and try and avoid this over 40s midlife weight gain that I keep seeing about. Because the problem is when you get to a certain age, your algorithms on the internet and social media just come up and give you sites for, oh, you're over 40, how to avoid over 40 weight gain, exercises to do for over 40s. And so really anything I can do just to try and beat that, or try and keep it in check and just keep myself healthy as I get older, ready for when I hit the dreaded 50s, just to do it, do something when I can, not feel guilty if I don't do some things. So like this morning, I haven't been to park run. Normally, pre-child, I would be really, really annoyed with myself because I haven't been. But this morning, I was just tired, so I just turned my alarm off, didn't get up, and do you know what? I don't feel guilty because the goals have changed, and now it's just trying to fit in exercise when I can, because life's a lot busier. It's trying to not make it too unrealistic where you think, oh, I'm going to work out 5 times a week, and you think, no, you're not, because you've got work and you've got a child and you're not going to be able to do that. So it's just trying to keep myself fit and healthy and not stress myself out with the fact that I haven't done anything on a certain day.
Excellent. I think it'd be interesting to know, you've obviously had degrees of fitness over time. And you've talked about, obviously, sort of pre-having the child and the running and all the different things. So you're somebody who's been quite into fitness for a long time. What sort of advice would you give to somebody who wants to improve their fitness levels, who maybe hasn't been as active in some of these things over time? What advice would you give to somebody who's starting out?
It depends what they want to do. And I think if you want to start out and you want to say, go running, I would say find your nearest park run, which is every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. and completely free. And you've got people of all abilities there. So I think if you wanted to go and you wanted to start out running, look for your nearest park run and start with that, and start slow and just be realistic with what you can do and how quickly you can do things. I mean, my sister's a prime example. So my sister doesn't really do a fat lot of fitness, but she wanted to come and do a run with me. So I said to her, okay, you don't have to run the whole thing. If you can only run for a minute out of that 5K, you can only run for a minute, but that's a minute that you wouldn't have run if you hadn't have come. So she might just walk it. And that is a great way to start. If you can't run, just go out for a walk and then build it up slowly, or download the NHS Couch to 5K app, which is fantastic and another great way to get back into running. If running's not your bag, which it isn't for a lot of people, it's some people's worst nightmare. If you can afford, to go to a gym and sign up for a gym, I would do that and start with classes, or get one of the gym's PTs to sit with you and do a workout plan for you. And if not, there are so many different people on YouTube that you can follow who do workouts from beginners to kind of intermediate to advanced, and they're all free. So you could just maybe get those and do those at home if you don't have the time or, money to go out and sign up to a gym. There are ways you can do it, and I follow people on YouTube, and there's one girl in particular who is really motivational. She's got 2 kids and she's absolutely brilliant. She does a lot of home workouts, which are as simple as walking on the spot for half an hour and really low impact stuff. But it depends what your goal is. What do you want to achieve by starting out with fitness? But I would just say do it, because from the health benefits of it and the mental health benefits of it are huge. So I think if you're thinking about it, just go and do it. Just go and do it and see how you get on.
Now, I think at this point, we also bring in, I'm sure you mentioned that one of these runs with Christmas on the horizon involves a turkey. Tell us something about that.
So this is the run that my sister's doing with me tomorrow. So I did it last year, and it's a 5K. It's a charity 5K, and you do it and then you get a turkey at the end of it. A proper turkey, not like a plastic turkey, like an actual turkey. And I did it last year, and my mum had already got our Christmas turkey on order, so we didn't have it for Christmas. We ate it at Easter, and it was really, really nice. So I was telling my sister and my mum, I said, right, Mum, I'm doing this turkey run again. You need to make space in the freezer for this turkey. And she thought, oh, God, not again. How am I going to make space in? She's got 3 freezers. I was like, well, you've got 3 freezers. You can find space in one of your 3 freezers, surely. So she's made a space. And then my sister sat there and she said, I quite fancy getting a turkey. And I said, yeah, but you've got to run for the turkey. They don't just give it you. You're going to have to actually do this 5K to get this turkey. And she went, yeah, okay, well, how do I sign up? And I said, yeah, but you don't run. What are you going to do? And she went, no, I'm going to start. I can just walk it, can't I? And I said, well, you can. I said, but is it just because you want the turkey? And she said, well, yeah. So you could just go and buy a turkey out the shop. And she went, no, I really want to do it. So she signed up for it last week. So my mum's now got to find space for 2 turkeys. I don't know how she's going to do that, because these turkeys are actually quite big. But we'll see. We'll see how we get on. So tomorrow, in the middle of Storm Bert, we are going to be running 5K at 10 a.m. in Wolverhampton for turkeys.
That's impressive.
That's incredible.
And that's an awful lot of effort for a turkey during this kind of weather. I think we'll also gloss over why on earth your mum's got 3 freezers.
She's a hoarder. She's a hoarder in terms of stuff and food.
Okay. Obviously, normally when people have got spare freezers, it's in programs and it's usually not very positive. But I think we'll accept that's not the case.
Are you implying that Amy's mum could be like some form of Dexter or something?
So what are you keeping in those freezers? So I've got to make space now. Where are we going to put the bodies? Turkeys in.
To be honest, I don't know how my dad survived not being in there, the amount he winds them up over the years. I bet she's considered it.
Speaking of going back to your dad there for a minute, because you said when you talked about doing the marathons, he was, shall we say, a little bit sceptical. What was his reaction when you did achieve these goals?
He was really had to eat his hat because he really didn't think I would do it. He was really pleased. And what's quite comical is, so it was London Marathon that I did, and I put in for the ballot. It was the first time I'd ever put into the ballot, and I got in. Which, if you know anything about London Marathon, people can try 6, 7, 8, 9 times and never get in. So the fact that I got in first time was crazy. Maybe it's fate's way of saying, yeah, you really have to do this marathon and prove your dad wrong. But they came down on a spectator coach because they didn't want to get the train. So they came down on this spectator coach, and the spectator coach drops you off at Tower Bridge, which is, I think it's just about mile 13. So they told me where they would be. So I slowed down on Tower Bridge to look out for them, looked everywhere, couldn't see them, finished, had the rest of the day in London, then went back home on this spectator coach. And when I next saw them, I said, well, where were you? I was looking for you. And the time that I ran past Tower Bridge, they'd gone for coffee. So they'd gone all that way, and all they saw was the back of my head as they were coming back.
Dear me. Oh, that's shocking. That really is shocking.
So it was quite comical. They never actually saw me. But it was really good because actually I didn't have to. I ran it for a charity. I didn't have to because I didn't obviously get a charity place. But I ran it and raised money for the brain tumour charity. I think I raised about £1,700. And that was on behalf of a really good friend of my brother who had been diagnosed with a brain tumour in his early 20s. And he passed away, sadly, last year. And I think it meant a lot, actually. It certainly meant a lot to my brother that I'd chosen to run it on behalf of them when I didn't actually have a charity place. There was no need for me to do so. But I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I really want to do it for a reason as well, not just for me. So I think it meant a lot, both in terms of me actually having run it, but also both in terms that we'd been able to give a little bit of money to the brain tumour charity. And I did say to James when I kind of put the idea to him, I said, look, I kind of want to run and raise a bit of money to help those in need of help. Who is the best charity for me to raise money for? And he actually said, you know what, the brain tumour charity have been fantastic with me, and I'd like you to raise money for them. So it was on James's behalf that I raised. It was his advice and suggestion that I raised money for them, and it was good in more than one way, really. It meant a lot to us.
Oh, well done for that. That's a great achievement, and great that you could do that.
Thank you for sharing that story, Aimee. And as T.A. said, I think it's really good that you found a charity to run for as well that also had a personal connection to you. And we both commend you for that. But just like to ask you what your fitness plans are for the future.
Just keep doing the Sean T workouts, keep doing the workouts, and hopefully get back up to running races, and hopefully get back up to kind of distance, and hopefully meet that sub 2 half goal eventually. But also I really wanted to do, so there's a run out in America it's at Walt Disney World, and it's called the Dopey Challenge, and it's a 4-day weekend, and you run a 5k the one day, you run a 10k the next day, you run a half day the next day, and then you finish the final day with a marathon. And that is my goal. I don't know if I'm going to achieve it. I've done 3 of them. I did the 5, the 10 and the half a couple of years ago, but I didn't manage to do the marathon. But my goal is to do that. Whether I'll get there, I don't know. But that is, I think that's a goal I'd like, but maybe won't achieve. But I'm going to try.
Don't talk yourself out of it. You can achieve your dreams. Your dad was a naysayer, and you said, I don't listen to you. I will achieve it. And you did. Well done.
You think?
I could do with
I had a genuine follow-up question, and you just started doing Arnie impressions. Terrible.
Do your follow-up question?
I could do with Arnie being there in my ear going, come on.
What's your follow-up question, Rich?
Well, I just wanted to know why they called it the Dopey Run. I get it's probably based on Dopey from Snow White or something, but
yeah.
I just wondered why they're giving it that kind of name.
Because you've got to be dopey to want to do it.
That's what it does about it.
No.
It wouldn't be much good if you were sleepy. But well, that is a goal, certainly, to aim for. I think, definitely. With Christmas now just on the horizon, again, it's a time where people often drift off and whatnot. What is your advice to people to sort of beat the sitting around at Christmas and piling on the pounds and then trying to do something in January?
Don't do it, because January comes and then you put more pressure on yourself. Eat what you want at Christmas, but just keep the fitness up. Even if you have your Christmas dinner and then you go out for a walk, just don't leave it all till January, because you know what it's like. January comes. January is a depressing month as it is. You don't want to sit there and think, oh, I've done nothing over Christmas and I've piled all this Christmas weight on. Just keep it going, even if it's just you go out for a walk, or you walk the dog but you walk an extra lap of the park. Just keep it going, because otherwise it's going to be so much more difficult. And it is hard. There is a Christmas Day park run.
Wow.
In Warsaw, they do a Christmas Day park run, and it is really well attended as well. And everybody wears Santa hats and dresses up. It's really light-hearted. I've never made one. I've always had the intention of going to one. I've just never got there. But Boxing Day, I start Boxing Day. So I'll do something Boxing Day, get up and do a workout. And then, just go out for walks. But if you're with a club or group of people, just all meet up and then go for a drink afterwards, a Christmas drink afterwards. But don't stop, because it makes January so much harder.
And I'm going to have to bring this story in at this point in terms of sort of motivation for what, obviously for what you do. So Aimee and I were at a social event earlier this week for a mutual friend's birthday for some drinks. Nothing out of the ordinary, was it? It's kind of a midweek small number of drinks in Birmingham city centre. Mrs. Shelano was slow cooking a nice dinner. So I was clearly not going to have anything to eat. A couple of drinks and I was going home. Yeah, I think Aimee was also going to have some food when she got home. However, a number of the other people there, including the person whose birthday it was, ordered pizzas. And I have to say, they did look particularly good. And one of the people, who shall remain nameless, tore off a slice, put it on a napkin, and put it right in front of me and went, "Go on." And all I had burning at me was Aimee P going, "Don't do it. Sean wouldn't be happy. Don't do it. You'll feel worse." It was like, I feel sorry for a little boy. The life he's going to have, honestly, growing up of this, he's going to be, put it down. You can see it coming. But it was this moment where I'm like, "You eat it," sort of thing. No. And I looked and I was like, if I eat this pizza slice, we will do this recording today and Aimee P will be so smug that I'd given in, right? That I managed to somehow, I don't know how, because it was so close on the table in front of me, rejected this pizza slice. But it was heartbreaking to watch them take it away and it was just going to be thrown in the bin. But at least it showed my commitment to the podcast and not allowing Aimee to call me out in this episode that I'd given in.
You're right, I would have been so smug, because I didn't have any either. So it wasn't like I ate the pizza and then made you feel bad. I didn't have any either. And I would have been smug, you're right. I'm sorry though, because it did really look good pizza. And when they first brought it out, it smelled amazing. And it was so hard. It was so hard not to have a piece.
They'd all got pizzas around us. It's like everywhere you looked were people with pizzas.
We need you two to stop talking about pizza. So, Aimee, I don't know if T.A. has told you about the fact that I do love pizza. Partly due to the fact that at the age of almost 43, I'm still obsessed with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it's littered around this office where we're recording in. I even have a mouse mat that's got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles "We deliver pizza" written on it. I would not have refused the pizza. I would have been ordering one, probably going back home and going, I still have what was in the slow cooker, but I've had a bit of pizza. Yeah, why not?
I'm glad you said it, because I was going to say there's no way if you'd been there that you'd have rejected the pizza slice. No way. I did say at one point I could have probably easily eaten the pizza and I would have still gone home. But there was a sort of feeling of, okay, this is the kind of level of motivation you and I need to get to in the podcast.
I don't think I can turn pizza down. I'm sorry.
It was the competitive streak in you though, because you looked and you were like, I can't eat that pizza because Aimee hasn't eaten the pizza, and if I eat it, I'll have lost. And it was that determination. You could see it in your face. You really wanted that pizza, but you really didn't want to lose.
It was just your constant, "Don't do it, you'll regret it." It was just like, yeah, I will, because she.
It was when I just went, just think how disappointed you're going to be in yourself once you've eaten it. Said like a mum.
Not angry, just disappointed.
That's the one, yeah.
That's it.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Aimee. It's been really good chatting with you. Really enjoyed it. And we are going to do the wrap up.
We do have a bit of a tradition now, don't we, with guest episodes where we basically leave the final word of the episode goes to the guest. It's just like a final reflection of what you'd like to say, wrapping up your episode.
Oh my goodness, what to say? Do you know what? I think as I've got older and I look back on what I've done in terms of fitness and keeping healthy, and there's so much I could have done more of. But looking forward, got to keep yourself physically and mentally fit. And life's hard, and if you can have a brief escape from it, a brief escape from kids, work, whatever, just have a bit of time to yourself. Just, if nothing else, just go for a walk.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.